Welcome to Mia's Stories. Make sure to subscribe to never miss an update, and a lucky chance to video chat with me. Jim Scott's apartment was a typical bachelor pad, marked by disorder. He relished the chaos, seeing it as a reflection of his solitary existence. Food lay haphazardly, books strewn about, clothes abandoned wherever. But there was solace in the absence of anyone to chastise him for the mess. Yet, this solitude had its drawbacks. Jim often found himself pondering his lack of companionship. His routine was monotonous, returning daily to an empty home, burdened by a mundane job and a non-existent social circle. Each morning seemed devoid of purpose. Being an only child, with deceased parents and no known kin, his existence felt hollow. After a cursory glance at his mail, Jim found the usual assortment of donation requests, unwinnable sweepstakes entries, and assorted junk. Among them was a catalogue, a common occurrence for him. It seemed he was on every mailing list imaginable. However, this catalogue stood out. It featured collectible dolls. Perplexed, he saved the catalogue and discarded the rest. Why would I receive a collectible doll catalogue? I don't have any children, he mused. Shrugging off the mystery, he popped a TV dinner into the oven and turned on the television. He waited until the timer beeped, retrieved his meal, and allowed it to cool while he fetched a table. With a meager dinner consumed, he whiled away another hour in front of the television, watching as time slipped by. After disposing of his meal tray, driven by curiosity, Jim picked up the catalogue and flipped through its pages. The dolls depicted within were undeniably charming. From Baby Teddy to Baby Judy, Madeline to Fawn, Tabitha to Melissa, all ranging from 24 to 30 inches in height. Then, he saw her, a 30-inch doll, the epitome of innocence and beauty. With her deep blue eyes, red lips, and shoulder-length silver blonde hair, she seemed to beckon to him from the page, as if longing to be held. This is absurd. What's gotten into me? Grown men don't play with dolls, he reasoned. Perhaps a drink might clear his mind. One bottle led to another, then a six-pack. In his customary weekend ritual, he eventually drifted off to sleep on the couch, not quite drunk but far from sober. The next morning, he shook off the remnants of last night's indulgence and prepared a modest breakfast of cereal, toast, and instant coffee. A second cup of coffee followed. After showering, he fell into his usual morning routine. What's on the agenda today? Laundry, dishes, or maybe some cartoons? Well, I suppose we could tackle the dishes, organize the books, and then catch some cartoons, he muttered to himself. Conversing with himself was a habit he'd adopted to fill the silence. Snagging another six-pack, he collapsed onto the couch, drowning himself in beer while subjecting himself to the mind-numbing banality of Saturday morning cartoons. Such was the rhythm of his existence. Sunday arrived, bringing with it the familiar routine, a simple breakfast of cereal, toast, and coffee. Just as he was contemplating another round of beer, his gaze fell upon the catalogue once more. Once again, those alluring dolls. I must be losing my mind. It's the loneliness, isn't it? He admitted, finally acknowledging the glaring truth. This admission shattered the facade of indifference he'd constructed over the past few years. There, are you satisfied? He shouted inwardly, berating himself. You pathetic excuse for a human being. Alone, with no friends, no social life. Is this what you wanted? Anger surged within him, a desperate desire to destroy something other than his own life. Then, the tears came, starting as a trickle before erupting into a torrent. Yielding to the overwhelming weight of his solitude, he surrendered to deep, agonizing sobs of despair. And once more, the haunting image of those pretty dolls lingered in his mind. Collecting himself as best he could, Jim dabbed his eyes with a handful of tissues, then turned once more to the catalogue. There she was again, Jennifer, with her winsome smile, honey-blonde locks, and those irresistible pouting lips. She could be his companion, his solace in this world of solitude. Jennifer, he whispered, the name rolling off his tongue with a newfound warmth. She would be there for him when he returned home, someone to talk to, a friend. Completing the order form was a matter of minutes, but the wait for her arrival felt interminable. Day after day, he anxiously awaited the delivery. When the package finally arrived after what seemed like an eternity, Jim carefully unwrapped it, revealing his precious cargo. Jennifer stood before him, her beauty surpassing even the image in the catalogue. Damn! What was I thinking? A doll! For heaven's sake! He muttered angrily. If anyone at work found out. His initial plan was to return the doll, passing it off as a prank. Yet, as he held her in his arms, he couldn't deny the comfort he felt. It was as though they were meant to be together. Well, Jennifer, it seems you have a new home, Jim remarked, half expecting a response. Please, call me Jenny, a voice seemed to echo in his mind, an unexpected impulse. Another step towards madness, he thought ruefully. All right, Jenny it is. With a companion now in his midst, Jim felt compelled to tidy up his living space. The remainder of the day was dedicated to bringing order to the chaos, sorting through old bills and magazines, particularly the more risque ones, and transforming his apartment into a semblance of a home. The bay in the fridge also met its demise. After all, one couldn't indulge too much with a lady present. He vacuumed, mopped, and scrubbed neglected corners that hadn't seen a cleaning in months. Books found their place on shelves, clothes were neatly arranged, and a sense of domesticity enveloped his little girl. There! Doesn't it look much better now? He asked, almost expecting a reply. Oh yes, thank you. A silent acknowledgement seemed to echo in his mind, akin to a woman's intuition. Before heading out for groceries, Jim informed Jenny of his plans, relishing the simple act of sharing his day with someone, even if that someone was a doll. Typically a chore, shopping now held a newfound purpose. He carefully selected spices, fresh vegetables, assorted canned fruits, and packaged chicken, diligently inspecting labels for optimal nutritional value. He even availed himself of free recipe booklets offered in the store. Returning home, he called out, Jenny, I'm back. Though he didn't anticipate a response, there was a peculiar warmth in uttering those words. With Jenny there to greet him, coming home felt like more than just a routine. It felt like coming home to someone who cared. Back in the living room, Jim lifted Jenny onto his lap and settled in to watch a game, narrating the plays and strategies to his silent companion. Strangely, she seemed captivated by the action. Later, as they sat together after dinner, Jim felt a peculiar question arise in his mind. Where's my mommy? Mommy! Jim exclaimed, caught off guard. I'm your daddy, dear, he clarified aloud, his confusion mounting. Was he losing his grip on reality? Oh, please, would you be my mommy? Jenny's voice, though only in his thoughts, persisted. I. Jim faltered, unsure how to respond to such a request from a doll. It seemed absurd, yet strangely compelling. Pretty please with sugar on, the small voice pleaded in his mind. How could I be your mommy, dear? Jim asked, hoping for no reply. A girlish giggle followed, then came the unexpected response. Silly, you wear mommy's clothes. Take care of me like a mommy, read to me, hug me, and teach me how to be a good girl. Jim felt his grasp on sanity slipping further. Such a coherent and lengthy response from a doll was beyond belief. Jenny, dear, I can't be your mommy, because I'm a man, he insisted, his voice tinged with frustration. Man? Oh really? The sarcasm was unmistakable, stirring up memories of past humiliations and injustices. Jim had grown accustomed to avoiding confrontation, preferring to stay out of sight to avoid trouble. Perhaps he had become too adept at fading into the background. Oh, please, won't you be my mummy? The soft, pleading voice persisted in his mind. Yes, Jenny, I'll be your mummy, Jim relented, resigned to playing along with this strange, new reality. Throughout Monday and Tuesday lunch breaks, Jim visited numerous stores in search of clothing. Determining sizes proved challenging, given his lack of familiarity with female apparel. Tuesday evening, with Jenny at his side, he turned to the internet for guidance, printing out size charts and discovering discreet online retailers for outer and undergarments. To his surprise, Jim found some sales clerks to be remarkably helpful during his shopping excursions. Many were motivated by commissions, indifferent to the gender of their customers. By Friday, he had assembled a modest wardrobe that would suffice for the time being. In addition to clothing, Jim ordered instructional videos on cross-dressing techniques, intending to refine his voice, gait, and mannerisms. If he was to assume the role of Jenny's mother, he was determined to do so properly, despite the inevitable challenges. After all, he understood that every choice comes with its own price tag. It took some time, but eventually the instructional videos arrived. Evenings, after dinner, they would sit together and watch Jim practicing for about an hour before retiring for the night. Weekends, with Jenny as his audience, he delved into makeup application, wig styling, and vocal experimentation. Friday and Saturday nights saw him sleeping in nightgowns of various fabrics. During the week, he was Jim Scott. On weekends, he became Elizabeth and Jennifer Short, assuming the roles of mother and daughter. He grew proficient in dressing, and even began to enjoy shopping for clothes and groceries. Jennifer brought about positive changes in his life, shedding excess weight, adopting a healthier diet, eagerly anticipating his return home each day, and developing a new perspective on life. 7 months had passed since Jenny entered his life, transforming it for the better. So, when Wednesday arrived, Jim faced the unexpected turn of events with remarkable composure. Mr. Charles Thomas Everhard, Esquire, summoned him to his office and delivered the news. Due to company downsizing, Jim was being let go. Despite the disappointment, he accepted the severance package and bid farewell to his colleagues without protest. Back home, he and Jenny shared a meal and watched TV together before Jim retired for the night. Thursday dawned, and Elizabeth Short emerged. She prepared a light breakfast, tidied up the apartment, and indulged in reading stories to Jenny, a long-held desire finally realized. By Friday, Jenny encouraged him to browse through the newspaper, suggesting a glimmer of hope for the future. "Sweetie, what's catching your eye there?" she asked, her fears about her sanity long gone. Elizabeth had grown closer to Jennifer than anyone before. The thought came like a whisper, "Your life!" With no stress weighing her down, her last alcoholic drink now a distant memory, and having shed 40 pounds of excess weight, Elizabeth felt a sense of calm. Opening the newspaper, Elizabeth scanned the pages. One item piqued her interest. Opening today. Doll Exposition, a 3-day extravaganza featuring artists from around the country. Further perusal revealed that Jennifer's creator would be in attendance. "Look, Jenny dear, perhaps I can find you a sister there," Elizabeth exclaimed, the comforting sound of her daughter's response echoing in her mind. While Jim feared the voice in his head, fearing his sanity slipping away, Elizabeth embraced it, finding solace in her daughter's presence. After dressing neatly and conservatively, Elizabeth bid Jenny farewell and embarked for the show. Swapping her shoes for a pair of flats kept in the car for driving, she set off, feeling it was a natural progression to assume the role of Jenny's mother. Entering the show, she paid the $5 entrance fee and entered a vast space filled with approximately 150 booths showcasing artists, manufacturers, dressmakers, and various doll-related products. It was like stepping into a doll enthusiast paradise. Navigating through booths displaying dolls of all shapes, sizes, and ethnicities, as well as accessories and clothing, Elizabeth marveled at the array before her. From Jesses and Monicas to Barbies and valuable Victorian antiques, there was something for every collector and enthusiast. A peculiar observation struck Elizabeth: the surprising number of male attendees. One might expect no self-respecting man to venture within a mile of the place, save for a few young boys begrudgingly accompanying their mothers. Elizabeth entertained the idea that buying a doll for a rowdy boy might serve as a form of discipline, having him carry it around for a month or two. A rough estimate suggested a ratio of 90% female to 10% male. Perhaps most of the men were accompanying girlfriends who were collectors. As she turned into an aisle, Elizabeth spotted them: Jennifer, Sandra, and Tiffany displayed prominently at a booth. Enthralled, she approached for a closer look. At the back, a striking black-haired woman sat sifting through papers, occasional furrows creasing her pretty face. On the front table stood a doll roughly the same height as Jenny, adorned in a white dress with a petticoat slip and a vibrant blue sash, her dark brown hair secured with a large blue bow, and white ballet slippers adorned with matching ribbons. The doll possessed an angelic visage that captivated Elizabeth. "Isn't she beautiful?" the dark-haired woman asked, drawing nearer. Her face bore a gentle smile that mirrored the softness of the dolls around her. "Yes, she's quite lovely. I have a Jennifer at home," Elizabeth revealed. The woman's smile widened as she approached. "That's Jessica. She's being introduced here as Jenny's sister. Unfortunately, she's our prototype and not available for sale. Undeterred, Elizabeth extended a hand. I'm Elizabeth Short. Nikki Allen. I'm Jenny and Jessica's creator, designer, and friend. Pleased to meet you, Nikki, Elizabeth declared warmly. Please, call me Beth. Likewise, Beth. Are you a collector? Nikki inquired, leading Beth behind the front tables to a seat. I received a catalogue, Beth began, omitting the mention of males from her narrative, and when I saw the expo, I felt compelled to come. Nikki smiled. Interesting. My sister and I started a small doll clothing business in high school, and when we had enough funds, we began crafting the dolls as well. I eventually acquired a nearby factory to produce dolls, but I've encountered some setbacks. While I have a creative team, I lack operations personnel. Seeing Nikki's hesitation, Beth ventured, So, essentially, you're capable of crafting the dolls, but you're seeking assistance with the administrative tasks. Nikki grinned in agreement. That sums it up. Well, Nikki, there's your solution, right here at your feet. You're adept at running an office. It's within your skill set, Beth proposed, rising from her seat and approaching Jessica. Turning to Nikki, she inquired, Do you happen to have an application form? Great. Here you go. Fill this out, Nikki replied eagerly. Accepting the paper, Beth began working on it while Nikki engaged in conversation with other attendees. It didn't take long for Beth to complete the application, detailing her qualifications in black and white. Handing the filled-out application to Nikki, Beth received a pass for the next day, accompanied by a promising "I'll inform you about the job tomorrow." Back at her apartment, Beth couldn't contain her joy as she twirled around the room with Jenny. Such elation filled her heart. But then, a nagging doubt crept in. What if she discovers, Jenny, what will I do? Beth voiced her concern to her silent companion. For once, Jenny offered no response. With a heavy heart, Jim Scott, in a rare moment of vulnerability, retired to bed early. The next morning, Jim awoke to find his pillow damp with tears. He prepared a simple breakfast of cereal, toast, and coffee, resigned to the routine of Saturday morning comics. Yet, a glimmer of hope lingered, a slim chance, perhaps, but one worth pursuing. After all, what did he have to lose? Approaching the booth, Beth was intercepted by Nicole's invitation. Come on, let's grab a cup of coffee. In a secluded corner of the meeting hall's small dining area, Nicole chose a relatively private spot. She returned with coffee and donuts for both of them before initiating the conversation. I grew up around here and still have friends in the area. When I ventured into this business, I took risks because I needed some excitement in my life. Funny how that works, isn't it? Anyway, what I really need is someone familiar with office work, and you fit the bill perfectly. Essentially, I need someone to handle order scheduling, procure various raw materials like fabric, boxes, plaster for molds, and maintain files while also managing correspondence. I despise administrative tasks. My passion lies in design. So, are you interested? Nicole explained. Beth sat in stunned silence. The prospect of a job with interesting responsibilities, perhaps even leading to something more, was tempting. But that's an incredibly tempting offer, Nicole. Truly tempting. But I would be living a lie. I need to come clean. Ms. Allen, my real name is Jim Scott, not Elizabeth Short. I'm a man. I suppose I should leave now, Jim confessed, his head held high despite the tears welling up once again. Do you care for Jenny? Nicole inquired. I love her more than words can express. She's my reason for living, Jim declared. Then, give others their reasons too, Nicole replied simply. On a Sunday night, Nikki, Beth, Diana, Nikki's sister, and Jenny hosted a party to celebrate the introduction of Jessica, Jennifer's new sister, and Beth's new job. Though pressed, the trio would only confide in true friends that they heard childlike giggles at the party. 2 years later, on a balmy summer day, two radiant brides walked down the aisle simultaneously. They exchanged exquisite feminine filigreed diamond wedding bands as they vowed to trust, love, cherish, and honor each other for the rest of their lives. Thus, They became known as Ms. Nicole and Elizabeth Allen Short. Seated prominently in a specially reserved pew were Jennifer, her sister Jessica, and a dozen others who had played integral roles in making this momentous occasion possible. If you enjoy this story and want to show your support, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Also, for every comment with 69, you could have a chance to video chat with me. Thanks for your time.